Welcome back. It is Thursday, February 22nd. The NBA, my four best bets are on the way. It feels good to say that. We are back from the post All-Star break, and it's time to get cracking. We've been on a good run. Let's dive into a recap of our last betting day in the NBA, which has been about a week. Last Thursday, a 1-1 day. I gave out Jeremy Grant's over 19.5 points. Logan was the Bucks minus 11. It was a 1-1 day. We're on a quietly an 8-3-1, been really good since the end of January. Logan obviously carried the torch for us, and we'll talk about him a little bit more in a few moments. But by popular demand, I mean, I'll rush right into it. Logan's back. He's coming in here with a pick as well today. He'll be on this camera in a little bit, in a few moments, and we'll try to keep him part of the videos going forward. You guys really loved him. He's giving out a lot of spreads, team totals, over-unders, and things of that nature, and he was doing pretty well. So you guys seem to love it. I read all the comments. Even though I was on my honeymoon, I'm still in New Zealand. It's still about 1 a.m. as I record this. Either way, it was still a good time. Logan was carrying the torch, and he did a pretty good job, so he's going to come back in here with some spreads, some over-unders every single day. We'll try to have at least one pick, maybe two, depending on if he really likes the slate, and we have a big one today. Before we dive into the picks, though, today, I need to say a couple things, a little bit of housekeeping. Number one, hit that subscribe button. What are you doing? Dude, don't miss out on any of these videos. We're doing them every single day. Even though we're in New Zealand still, we're still cranking out the content regardless, and we're going to hopefully stay dialed in into the post-All-Star break and as well going into the playoffs. And number two, if you ever want to make sure you get all our picks early, I'm going to try to post them to the DubClub around 7 a.m. Eastern time. That's about 1 a.m. New Zealand time. So we're still grinding, still putting out the picks. It's only $5.99 a month to join the DubClub. You'll notice as we post picks, the lines typically change by the time I get the YouTube video live because it takes some time to record, edit, and do all of that things. But either way, if you want to join the DubClub, a link down below. But my last note of housekeeping before we dive into the picks today, because we have an action-packed slate. The ladder challenge is returning. Don't worry, it'll return. I'm just going to give each of these teams probably one or two games to kind of get their feet under their belt because it's still the post-All-Star break, still a little bit wacky. But you guys came in for some NBA picks. I'm going to start with the first one. Second pick will be Logan, and I'll give you 3 and 4. But let's dive into the first one. One of my favorite plays of the day, Paolo Banchero. I really like his over in points. Now, as I record this, it is 20.5. I don't mind it at 21.5. In my opinion, either Banchero's soaring over this line, is getting 24, 25, or he's probably going to end in the 15 to 20 range. But let's talk about Banchero, because on paper, not a great matchup tonight as he is facing the Cleveland Cavaliers on the road. Now, obviously, the Cavaliers are a very tough defense, and it's going to take take Banchero to have a pretty decent game to get over 20.5 points. However, in my opinion, when I watch the Magic, which I watch a good amount of Magic games, they don't typically show up well on the road. So I think they're going to need Banchero to play pretty well. And that's kind of been the story of the whole season. This season, you look at Banchero just talking strictly about numbers, averaging 24.4 points per game on the road compared to just 21.4 at home. He's attempting 18.8 field goal attempts and 8.7 free throw attempts per game on the road. A lot of volume going there for Banchero. You look at home, 16.5 field goal attempts, 5.5 free throw attempts. So the volume is there regardless, but on the road, he's having to step up even more. You look at his number one running mate, Franz Wagner. He's normally not showing up too well on the road. In fact, he's averaging about 2.5 fewer points per game on the road, which is typically when Banchero's like, all right, well, I got to step up. We see a Franz Wagner obviously have really good games at home. Hasn't really produced that same, production on the road, which is when Banchero kind of has to do his thing. And look, we've seen him play really well, even in a tough match against the Cavaliers. Banchero, you look at him on the season, he's over this line in 58% of games, not too shabby. He's over in 62% of road games and in 3 career road games. Obviously, he's in his second year. You look at Cleveland in 3 road games, he has hit the over in all 3, scoring 29, 22, and 42 points. He's attempted 14 field goal attempts in 6 straight as well versus Cleveland, which is every single game he's played against them. So the volume should be there. Obviously, they're a really good defense. We're not going to say, hey, if Banchero doesn't shoot well, does it surprise us? No, but I really do think there's a spot where we see him shoot above 15 times, maybe 20 times, and hopefully we get some foul calls and he can get the line. Donovan Mitchell also might not play tonight. We'll see. He is currently, with an illness. We'll see if he plays or not, but I think the Magic can keep this game close. I think we'll see Banchero probably one of the reasons they keep it close. So I really like Banchero. Give me his over in points tonight, my first pick of the day. But as promised, I said Logan would stay a part of the NBA videos. You guys really loved him. You showed a ton of love to him in the comments, which I certainly do appreciate that you were showing Logan so much love. So I'm throwing it to him. He's got a pick of the day. Logan, what's it going to be?
Yeah, so I'm back again with another game pick, and my spread/money line of the day is going to be the Toronto Raptors on the money line, minus 130 odds on FanDuel, currently your best value there. Now, if this line does get any more juice than the minus 130, I consider just laying the 2-point spread that you're going to probably get in this one. The reason I just always take the money line for safety is because, you know what, if the Raptors do win by 1, the spread people that took 2 would lose. And if these totals are sharp, or if these spreads are sharp, whatever, I just always do default to taking the money line for just a little bit more juice than the spread. But when we look at the post All-Star break, I'm looking to back a team at home that isn't laying a massive double-digit spread. Looking up and down the slate, there are a lot of teams that are laying massive double-digit spreads. That's kind of a tough task to be sharp right out of the gate post All-Star break and cover a big number like that. We're only asking the Raptors to just get the outright win for us. And the Raptors, and the last time we backed them, they treated us right, and I'm hoping they can do that once again today. Look at their matchup against the Brooklyn Nets. Brooklyn, awful on the road, 9-14 on the road, only covering at 39.1% cover rate, under 40% cover rate. How do you trust a team like that? I just simply can't. I think Toronto's the best option here. And while there haven't been the best team, against the spread most of this year, I think there's value on betting a sort of wild card team like this as they develop more chemistry. They kind of underwent that change middle of the year. I think there's going to be value of betting on them as they develop more chemistry playing as a team. Back in November, when these two teams matched up, the Nets beat the Raptors 115-103. That game was played in Brooklyn. In that matchup, Spencer Dinwiddie was the Nets' leading scorer with 23. Royce O'Neal had 18 points off the bench. The thing about those guys, they're not on those teams anymore. So we look at Brooklyn. I think they're going to have a tough time, kind of getting production out of that. Raptors had Siakam and OG Anunoby, so they had a different matchup in that one. But I think there's not a huge drop-off with guys like RJ Barrett and Emmanuel Quickley. I think we still get production out of guys like that. Stylistically, let's compare these teams. Toronto loves to play in the fast break. They're first in the NBA in fast break points. By comparison, Brooklyn's defense, 24th in opponents' fast break points allowed per game. Toronto wants to get out into the fast break, score that way. We would love to see that. I think they are able to get some points via the fast break. And we look at Toronto's defense, third best in opponents' free throw attempts per field goal attempt ratio. That's obviously a ratio. You want that number to be lower than possible. Why? Because that means the defense is typically relying on shot making rather than living at the free throw line. Post All-Star break, I want you to earn it. I want you to earn it from the field. I want you to have to shoot the lights out in order for us to lose this bet. If Brooklyn just goes out and has an amazing field goal, percentage night, I'm fine losing the bet that way. I just don't trust Brooklyn's offense on the road either. Look at the stats. Brooklyn's 2-point percentage, 52.5%. That's 26th in the NBA. And their shooting percentage, 46%. That's 27th in the NBA. They're a bad shooting night away from just getting run out of the gym. And I think we could see that post All-Star break, some post All-Star break rust for sure from this Brooklyn team. I want Toronto to go out and make them earn it from the field rather than from the free throw line. I think Toronto is in a good position to do that. And I mentioned they're just a bad shooting night away from getting run out of the gym. Speaking of running out of the gym, the last time we saw the Brooklyn Nets in action pre-All-Star break, they lost by 50 points to the dang Celtics. I mean, how? How do you do that? It's really tough. They're a team that just kind of mails it in, and I don't like that. I like teams that are kind of scrappy and can battle back. I think that's what we see with this Raptors team. Heck, the way they covered for us the last time we bet them, it was a scrappy finish fight to the end. I think we see Toronto come out post All-Star break, get us the win for us, and hopefully continuing the little mini run we had pre-All-Star break. Hopefully we can keep the game picks hot once again.
Yeah, well, Logan gave it to you. He's got the Raptors on the money line. I like the pick. Obviously, if it gets a little bit juiced throughout the day, probably not a bad idea to just lay the points instead of taking the money line. But a minus 125, minus 130, not terrible value there. Obviously, if it gets closer to like minus 140, minus 150, probably just take the points and just hope they can beat the Brooklyn Nets by a few points. But without further ado, we get two more props, then we'll get on out of here. Like I said, it is a Thursday slate. There's a lot of games on, but that doesn't mean you need to put a prop in every single game. It is the first game post All-Star break for all these teams. It always is going to be a little bit wacky. And let's start with the wacky under. Harrison Barnes, under 14.5 points, minus 105 on DraftKings. Personally, I don't see this line going to 13.5. If it does, you can take it. Saw a couple books at 15.5 for like minus 130, minus 135, minus 140. I'm just not going to lay that much juice on this, but you certainly can. I just don't like Harrison Barnes a ton today, and a lot of people don't like him in general in the community. As I talked about for the ladder challenge, he nuked us one of those days. We don't normally talk about him a ton, but this season we've taken his props both on one side. We took his over on a mini ladder to 15 plus, cashed us out there. Then we took his under a few weeks ago. He cashed there. We're going with another under. Now, why am I fading him when he's got a decent matchup against the San Antonio Spurs, not a team that really plays a lot of defense. Domantas Sabonis is out, so I'm almost going to have to score. Honestly, I don't mind if Sabonis is out. If we're being honest, Sabonis unlikely to play, and we know Sabonis. He's been an All NBA center this season. I mean, he's been Jokic light, if you will. I mean, the guy's been getting triple doubles left and right. And with Sabonis, we know about him. He's unselfish. He's going to pass the ball to his teammates. Now with Sabonis out, you're going to fill him in with a center, probably what, JaVale McGee, maybe Alex Len. Maybe they play a little bit more small ball with Trey Lyles. Sure, great. Maybe they stretch the floor with Wembanyama on the other side. Maybe they want to have a shooter down there, maybe stretch the floor. But I don't see that guy being Harrison Barnes that guards, Wembanyama or vice versa. Instead of maybe Harrison Barnes, maybe Trey Lyles, the guy that Wemby's guarding. Either way, we know Sabonis is very pass heavy. When the ball gets out of his hands, you're thinking about the guys that are going to pick up the usage. De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, two guys that don't really pass it as much as Sabonis. I mean, we know Sabonis is not really going to go out there and try to score 30 points every given night, whereas Malik Monk and De'Aaron Fox are going to go out there and shoot the ball. So higher usage from those guys in terms of shooting it. I just don't love Barnes to be needed in this spot, especially at home where we see the role players like Kevin Huerter's, the Keegan Murray's of the world, heck, even Trey Lyles of the world play better at home. And really, I feel like Harrison Barnes is more of a guy they need on the road against tough teams. And we've seen, you look at Barnes' other lines, it's under 2.5 made threes, it's minus 275. I mean, they're saying, hey, we really don't think he's stroking 3 threes tonight. Pause. But if he does, hey, tip the cap to him. But this season, when he's made 2 or fewer threes, under the slide in 35 of 37 games, 95%, averaging 8.4 points per game. We're just playing, numbers here and odds based on what the books are giving us. In general, Harrison Barnes has not had a great year, averaging a little over 12 points per game. He's under this line in 72% of games. Obviously, he did have a good stretch, for about a month coming into the All-Star break. And sure, he could easily come out here and score 15 against the Spurs. That's not saying, hey, I mean, let's be honest, I could probably score about 8 versus the Spurs. Probably not. I probably could score 0. Wemby would probably pack me to the moon. But either way, we saw in their only matchup this season, he scored 7 points on 7 field goal attempts. In that game, Domantas Sabonis did play. Fox at 43. Really saw Huerter and Keegan Murray not play well. They only scored 15 combined. That was on the road. Trey Lyles was also inactive. I just don't see Harrison Barnes having a huge day. Obviously, he's capable of 15 points. He's done it before. I just don't think this is a huge spot for him. Also, they're still like 9-point favorites even without Sabonis, so this could be a blowout. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Now, my fourth and final pick of the day will be a rookie. Technically in his second year, but they categorize him as a rookie because he did not play his whole rookie season. It is Chet Holmgren. I like his over 14.5 points, minus 120 on Bet365. Now, this is one I would probably prefer to get that milestone number at 15 plus instead of having to take a 15.5. We know sometimes Chet can be lingering at this line. We're sitting on 13 and just needed one more bucket. That can happen. But hopefully that's not the case today. Hopefully he scores 20 in the first half and we get a sweat-free winner. But let's talk just numbers. I'm not going to talk about why I like this matchup for him. Let's talk strictly numbers. Chet Holmgren averaged 16.7 points per game in the first half of the season. He's over in 67% of games. At home, those numbers go up a little bit, averaging 17.4. Over in 78% of games. And doesn't surprise anyone, shooting 4% better at home. He is a rookie. Rookies are going to shoot better at home. And he actually went into the All-Star break not looking too great. I mean, he did go under in 3 straight games, 2 of them being on the road. Every single game is right next to this line. He had 13, 14, and 13 points. So right there. Now, it is not uncommon for guys in their first year to really struggle going into the All-Star break. It feels like, you use up all your juice in October, just November and December, and then January rolls around and you're like, oh man, I'm pretty exhausted playing every other day. And then you get February and you're like, man, I'm just trying to get it done, get to the All-Star break, get a little bit of rest. I feel like Chet Holmgren was kind of in that boat, like a lot of rookies and second year guys are. I mean, we've seen, you've talked about Ben Caro, he kind of talked about this, I think, on JJ Redick's podcast. Like he tried to focus in that January, February timeline. That's when we see a lot of blowouts because guys just don't have their feet under them. Well, hopefully that break gave, Chet a little bit of time to rest and relax and get things going. And I really like this spot for him against the Clippers. Now, obviously on paper, Clippers, really good defensive team and it's pretty decent against centers. However, they're also really good against other positions. And we think about the guys that are really scoring on Thunder, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Jalen Williams. Those are the 2 guys that are scoring a lot of points. Those guys don't have the best matchup. I mean, think about Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. Those are really good defenders. Yeah, Westbrook off the bench has been elite. Zubac is the guy that's going to defend Chet, and I really think that's a good matchup for us. Obviously, we know Zubac, what does he do? He plays a lot of, paint protection. He doesn't come out of the paint a lot. So I think Chet gets some open shots from the 3-point line, and if he's making those, this is a sweat-free bet. But at the same time, if Chet wants to catch those, Zubac might close out on him. He can easily drive to the hoop, maybe get to the free throw line, lay it in, get to the mid-range where Chet kind of is more comfortable. And we've seen in the 2 games first LAC this year, Chet has scored 23 and 8 points. Now, it wasn't due to lack of opportunity because he shot 11 and 10 times. So 10 field goal attempts, great. 3 and 4 free throws or 3 and 6 free throws, not too bad either. I mean, you look at the 8-point effort, he just shot 20% on the road. The 23-point effort was at home. Like I said, it's a guy at home that we want to back him. I won't really back a lot of Chet Holmgren props on the road. But look, if you can tell me, hey, Chet's shooting 10 times tonight, I probably put a little bit more on this. I probably put 1.5 or 10 or 2 units on it, because this season, when Chet has attempted 10 or more shots at home, which he's done in 19 games, he's hit this over in 18 of 19, 95%. We obviously can't guarantee how many times Chet shoots, but given that his other teammates don't have the best matchups on the court, I think Chet gets a couple opportunities, and I think he can knock down those shots. So I really like his over 14.5 points. 15 plus points is that milestone number. I really like Chet today. I was going to force a 5th pick, but I'm going to stick to 4. It's just the first day post All-Star break. Now, I normally would like to target some unders, but I feel like we've got some soft spots for Chet and Banchero, which is why I'm taking their overs. But either way, do not force a ton of picks. It is just the first day post All-Star break. Hopefully you enjoyed Logan being a part of the videos, kind of like how we do the NBA or the MLB ones, which MLB is like 33, 34 days away, which is going to be slowly approaching, obviously, daily picks for the MLB once that starts, I think March 28th. But appreciate you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you guys for showing so much love to Logan while I was out for a little bit, but I'm back ready to get this show crack-a-lacking. Let's have a wonderful day. Appreciate you guys as always. It's Austin. I'm signing out. Logan signing out as well. Let's go 4-0. Bring out the brooms. Let's see you guys back again tomorrow, which we have another action-packed slate in the NBA. Don't force too many picks. It's Austin signing out. See you in the next one. Peace.